Walter Boyd.
Walter, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, I listen to a lot of talk radio and engage in a lot, and the Lord must have led me for I turned that Christian radio station on. I guess it was Saturday. I'm not sure, but I heard you and you said you'd be here.
Yes, sir.
So I'm living around here, so I'm here.
Well, thanks for coming out.
That's the last hand I'll get after I get through here.
All right. Well, you need more enthusiasm.
I noticed the Catholic back here, and I bet you he does serve a lot of beer and wine and everything.
Hey, Joe, is there beer in the philosophy of religion class? No. Oh, there it is. Okay. No. I just misheard it.
And of course, now the big issue about the Catholic Church, the popes come out, not unexpectedly, in favor of belief in evolution. I wondered, do you have any problem with that?
Well, my question whenever somebody asks me is, do you believe in evolution, is what do you mean by evolution? So how would you define it?
Well, why don't you define it? You know, I noticed a lot of these discussions you get, and you turn it back and ask, you had one student, I was watching some of your websites, I can do it, but I'm going to turn it back on you. What do you define as evolution?
Well, you're making it too hard on me. All right,
listen.
Well,
I make it hard on you. I'm the best cross-examiner.
All right, excellent. All right, I think when people ask me when I ask them what do you mean by evolution, a lot of times they're just talking about change over time. If somebody says change over time, sure, I agree with that. That's observable. But if they're saying that the molecules to man version of evolution, where there is no intelligent intervention at any point, no, I don't believe that's true. That's often called macroevolution. I believe in microevolution, which is adaptation within a species. I think there's very good evidence for that. But I don't think there's good evidence for macroevolution, the molecules to man, which is really a philosophical worldview that says that's how all these new life forms came to be. I don't think there's good evidence for that, and I can give you some evidence against it if you want to see it.
Well, I think the Catholic Church says, what difference does it make? I mean, they just believe God. Joe, am I right?
Well,
where is Joe when I need
Joe is. Well, remember, to a certain extent, I'm a Catholic, but let me just come to this.
You're not Catholic?
I'm not. No, I'm not. I went to Catholic high school because I'm from New Jersey. And
praise the Lord.
It's law when you're in New Jersey that you have to be Catholic. I don't know if you know that. I have great respect for the Catholic Church and much of the Catholic doctrines. I don't agree with all of them, obviously, otherwise I'd be Catholic. But let me say this. To a certain extent, they are right, because evolution could all be true, and God still could exist, and Jesus still could have risen from the dead, correct? So even if evolution is true, doesn't mean that Christianity is false. I think it would give us problems for biblical inerrancy, certainly, but I don't think macroevolution is true. But even if it was true, it wouldn't defeat Christianity.
Okay, one more thing.
Yes, sir.
This is a big issue. That I was watching a lot of videos today of you have all that stuff up, and I actually punched you in there and saw you arguing and on Bill Maher's show too.
Yes.
But here's the thing, and you got into it a little bit today. Don't you have a false choice? You're saying morality. Morality, if you don't believe in God, there's no basic morality, and it's whether Hitler versus us, versus everybody else. Now, isn't that a false choice? Ayn Rand has an atheist philosophy based on life. Life is it. And can't you come with a morality that's based on experience, tradition, reason, all that, the development, evolution, intellectual evolution, all of that, you don't have to pick. Why does everybody have to throw in Hitler when they want to make a point?
Because everybody universally agrees Hitler was a bad guy. Well, if Hitler was a bad guy, there must be a standard of good by which we can measure Hitler. And so when you look at Hitler, you go, I can't agree with Hitler. Now, it's interesting you should bring this up, because when I was at Michigan State not long ago, Walter, I had a couple of atheists sitting over here during the Q&A, and we got talking about morality. And I said to one of them, I said, what is your standard of morality? morality as an atheist. And he said, whatever the majority decides is morally right. So I said to him, are you telling me that if you grew up in Nazi Germany and the Nazis just decided by majority vote or just plurality vote to murder Jews and homosexuals and gypsies and whoever they found undesirable, that would be okay? And he paused and he said, yes. And his atheist buddy sitting right next to him looked at him and said, no! Okay, now but let me unpack what you said here. I am not claiming, nor other people in my position argue, that you have to be a believer to know morality or to be, quote unquote, a good person. What I'm saying is that you can't justify what good is, you can't justify what morality is in an objective sense unless God exists. So this is not an argument from what we call epistemology, how you know right from wrong. You might know right from wrong from evolution if it's true. You might know right from wrong from your parents, from society, in a whole number of ways. But that's not the question. The question isn't how you know right from wrong. The question is, does right exist?
Okay, you came out on one of those videos and you made a point. They asked you, that's a 1 minute thing, we got the 1 minute. And they said, do you believe same-sex marriages are not good? Or do you believe that in spite or in addition? Aside from your religious beliefs, and you went in and explained that. I think same-sex marriages is okay. But you explained it, and that was a morality that came not from God, but came from you with your common sense.
Well, my
common sense.
Well, Walter, the difference here is that I'm drawing on the natural law, what Thomas Jefferson said was self-evident. Right? We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men were created by the Creator, and endowed with created with certain inalienable rights among them, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. That moral standard still comes from God, but you don't need the Bible to know it. In fact, you don't need the Bible to know basic right and wrong. It's already written on your heart. And again, it's not how you know it. It's not that you know it. It is, does it exist? If there is no God, natural law doesn't exist. The Bible's morality doesn't exist. It's all a matter of opinion. That's the
natural law. They exist even so, and that Catholic theology bases a lot of their positions on natural law.
Yeah, but natural law only exists if God exists. That's what natural law is. It's based in the nature of God.
Yeah, but you've got a more narrow vision of God than natural law would suggest. Anyway, you're great. I'm so glad I met you. You have made a lot in my life, and you're going to help.